Friends and family, thank you for joining me here, Chris Sanders at the American News Network. We've had a series of tsunamis hit the state of California, and our news agencies have remained oblivious about it, so I'm going to bring it to you as to why that's happening. Behind me here, you could see the original explosion of the Hunga Tunga volcano that was on January 15th, about a couple of years ago. Now, what has happened recently here once again is that it went off with such magnitude that the island has exploded, and the people of Tonga, we can't even communicate with them right now. What we do know from satellites is that the explosion was so massive that a 720 mile per hour shock wave circled around the globe, and as that hit California, we saw the effects of that in Big Sur, Santa Cruz. Now, if you're down there in Redondo, anywhere from Malibu on up, I want you to be on a high alert. Do not go out into the surf today. Don't go out onto the surf while we're having constant reshocks. Again, 720 miles an hour. Now, a tsunami is not really able to be detected while we're out in the middle of the ocean because it's so deep. So, in fact, that shock wave is actually maybe about a foot high. But as it hits the continental shelf, it hits it with such magnitude that it builds up. And in areas in California, we were experiencing 30-foot waves in areas that we've never seen before, and things were washed away. This is not the time to go challenging your surfing skills. There are rip tides and currents, and we will be having several, but I wanted to bring up something. What's setting that off? What is setting all this off, America? Keep in mind, Iceland is going off, okay? And that's a major volcano. Italy's supervolcano has been going off. The city's been lifted. Hunga Tunga has gone off. So we have one in our backyard. It's called Yellowstone National Park, and I got to bring that to our attention because if it goes off, we are in for a catastrophe like we have never experienced before. And perhaps this is God's way of saying, can you guys just cool it? Now, I'm going to spring over and talk a little bit about what's happening in Israel, but Israel's fighting 7 fronts, and I don't want us to get involved because they're fighting 7 countries, and guess what? There are American citizens that come from all 7 of those countries, so why are we going to pick a certain side when our Congress is prohibited from getting into wars that involve religion? Now, furthermore, they are all in a gross negligence of the Constitution of the United States, and I want you to know that. They all need to be fired because they're not doing their job. We need a new group of senators. We need a new group of congressmen. These guys can't even impeach Jackwagon Joe. They've had this inquiry going on for so long. Look at all the people that have died. Okay, and I want to tell you something. We're approaching 2 years in Ukraine. Rand Paul, the only senator pretty much that's worth tits on a boar, said that we need to activate the War Powers Act, which we do. Now, we created this in 1973 when presidents would get out of control. Even Kennedy, even Nixon, yes, they were bombing Laos, Cambodia, and keeping it quiet to us. Did you know that? Yeah. So they get out of control, and then they decimate and destroy people. I'm going to ask you, what did we do in Iraq after we didn't find the weapons of mass destruction? Did we rebuild their roads? Did we build them universities? Or did we just leave their country contaminated with white phosphorus? That's what we did. We didn't do anything we should be proud of in Iraq or in Afghanistan. In fact, our borders are open now, but the borders should have been open for everybody that was helping our troops out for 20 years. Am I right or am I wrong? We could have given them beautiful people citizenship that were helping us out, not directly handed them over to the Taliban with $80 to $85 billion worth of war equipment, which is, guess what? Aiding and abetting the enemy, which is treason. So, are they following our Constitution, America, or are they committing treason on a daily basis? And guess what? I'm telling you, hemp rope and gravity, and we all know they deserve it. Look at what we're paying for. My God, this makes me sick. I don't care if I see it happening in Syria, Iraq, Ukraine. What is your excuse this time, America? Racism? Well, guess what? We're a mixing pot of all the races. Lindsey Graham now wants us to blow up Iran. Tell me, you got any Iranian friends here in America? I do. See, I've got friends from every culture and every race there is. Why is our government out of control? We need to get rid of them, America. It says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. That is the first sentence. Okay? The first sentence in the amendments to our Constitution. And look at this war behind me. What I'm saying is Judaism versus Islam. Oh, but not all Jews are religious. Okay. The other half of them are, and it's called Judaism. And they got a problem with people that are called Muslims, okay? And I really don't care about it because I follow a guy named Jesus Christ, and he told me to love thy neighbor. And Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech. Now they're doing that every day. And if you study how Fox was sued by Vanguard and BlackRock, the people that own them, these are the people that also own Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, and every war company we have. We are funding the FBI, the CIA. They're funneling that money back down to the industrial war complex machine that Eisenhower warned us about, and we're doing it every day at the expense of freedom. We're doing it every day at the expense of you and I, while we stay in streets. Now, we're looking at blocking Saudi's money now and Russia's money. Now, I'm going to tell you why this sounds very ridiculous to me. Right now in the United States of America, we have 107,000 veterans that have defended you and I and our freedoms, and they are out on the streets living inside of tents in the cold. And with that $17 billion, we could build each one of them a 2-bedroom house, 2 acres, give them free energy, and have $6.3 billion left over for their electric bill. That's what a good country could do, but we're not doing it. We're instead going around blowing up all of our relatives in Iran, in Palestine, in Israel, in Russia. When will this madness and the fiasco of our failed government stop? You doubt it? Well, everything you're seeing behind us, we're paying for. Now Israel's fighting a war on 7 fronts. Syria, Iran, okay? The Jordan. Now, you know who's paying to move all the people from from Gaza into Jordan? Uncle Sam. I'm not paying for that crap. I want to pay for a border, and I want to kick all the illegals out if they can't say the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America in English and know what it means. If you don't know English or Spanish, you're going to be on our welfare. The FBI has released a lot of data today on how crime is down everywhere. Have you noticed it? It's because they want you to feel that they're important when they're not. They're criminals, they're stealing from us, and if anything, they're funding wars and terrorism. The president of Argentina, who was just elected, by the way, this is just something that went on, he decided not to go with BRICS. So we need a president like that. The only one we have is President Trump. Everybody else is going to push us into the World Economic Forum. Everybody else is going to invest in this war, just like Trudeau, just like Macron, and they look at the people as if we're pawns and cannon fodder. If you doubt it, well, who is paying for these bullets behind me but, once again, Uncle Sam? And they're killing Muslims, but I'm going to read this. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Congress, what are you doing? You're firing yourselves. You're going to have all this go up there, and you're going to say, look, all of you guys are fired because you're retarded. The Colorado Supreme Court, they're retarded. They're thinking they're Congress. And I showed you here in the 14th Amendment, Article 5, it clearly says what? It says that Congress has the power to enforce the amendments. Then I hear these people that say that they're like legal representatives on Fox and ABC and CNN and say, oh, well, states can do that. Who are you retards? Did you get your law? Most of you don't have a law degree. Now, understand the Maine Secretary of State, we're going to throw your ass in prison, okay, for making constitutional violations, and I can't wait till Trump puts me in there so that I can lock you up.
Well, we just thought we would do something right.
and he did an insurrection. You can't read the entire article about what it says. Are you retarded, or what's the problem? And it says the Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. And so right now our Senate is defunct, and Lindsey Graham wants us to go blow up Iran. I would like to question his election, as well as Feinstein's, as well as especially Pelosi. And we're being led by Mitch McConnell, a guy that has active strokes on television. When is enough enough? We were told to believe, Dianne Feinstein, she's in great shape. She died in office. She was told what to do. This is not fair to you and I. Term limitations on all you sorry sacks of hen scratch, and we need to get you guys out of there. Sorry. And for anybody that basically interferes with our election, that is a 24th Amendment violation. Stop saying election interference. The words used in the Constitution are we're allowed to have an election free from error, okay, and basically free from state interference, and that would be the DEA, the IRS, the FBI, the CIA, or state interference like Maine, like New York, like Colorado. This isn't rocket science, but I guess it is to Democrats that think that they can abuse the law and our founding fathers. What should the punishment for them be? There is a Article 6.2 supremacy clause, and by aiding and abetting the enemy by keeping Jackwagon Joe in there, you're committing treason. I'd go out as far as to say, even by not putting Kamala Harris in office, you're committing treason. Behind us right now, what you're seeing is the Russian general speaking out on all their successful attacks, and our media is lying once again. So after we hit Russia, and I say we because they used our equipment to kill 22 Russians last night. And as they do this, then Russia responds with 18 bombers. They blow the crap out of everybody, and we're not reporting it. But they're losing, and they're going to lose, and all we're doing is we're promoting the annihilation of the good people of the Ukraine. You need to get Zelensky out of office, just like we need to get Jackwagon Joe out of office. If you want a champion to run your country, the Ukraine, and I know I've got thousands of listeners, you put Vitaly Klitschko, the mayor of Kiev, in there, and you get rid of that little paraded circus punk called Zelensky, who is a Nazi because he's working with our Nazi, the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, trust me. And I'm talking about Cracker Jack Joe, or Jackwagon Joe, whatever you want to call that disgusting pedophile. We all know what he is. His son's a drug addict, and they make us look sorry, and he's just full of crime. How dare you, Congress, put up with this crime? So, I'm going to give you some real reports because we get lied to. Our artillery's sucking. HIMARS isn't working. And this is a report. He says, guess what? We're all going to die. And this is the Ukrainian Army advisor. He says, we can't keep up with Russia. He's like, let me tell you something. They haven't even really used their troops. They're using their felons. That's what Wagner is, or Wagner, whatever you want to call it. They say, hey, you can either live the rest of your life in jail or go out there. Actually, they're not that nice in Russia. They're like, hey, here's a gun. Get out there and go kill for it. We're not feeding you anymore. Speaking of which, we're so ridiculous. I don't know why we feed the people that we have that are on death row. We need them for some science experiment at the cost of you and I. When people do tragic things, they win the lottery and get free food for the rest of their life and shelter, huh? What a bunch of malarkey, America. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and you better treat thy neighbor as you would like to treat thyself. And our government is doing anything but that. When I see a Russian, I don't think of blowing him up, or an Israeli. And you know what? Most people in America, you know what? We're a bunch of mutts. There's probably not a damn purebred here, maybe 5 out of 100. So you better watch your actions. And your actions are speaking louder than words. Oh, guess what? We are getting contacted by a lot of wealthy people to do some interesting things. And what that is we're building these roofs with a type of material that's got an RF reflective factor of like 45. So if the Chinese use this microwave radiation thing on us while we're sleeping, It can shield us. This is also 5G proof, and I'm going to bring something else up. Media's been very quiet lately. Have you noticed? Well, it's because our communication systems with their jets are about to flip over to 5G, and they're begging the Congress and everybody not to do it. They're like, it's going to interfere with all of our communications worse than AM radio. And wake up, it's a Chinese war weapon. They're probably going to biologically activate all the ingredients we've been eating. You got to think of why the Chinese own our ham companies. And then we got to send our meat back to China where they then package it for us. No. This government is so silly and stupid. You got to stop it. So I'm telling you, do some research. Hormel everything that you can on everything that goes to China and comes back. Understand the Chinese basically purchased a lot of departments into Walmart. You notice when you go there how we used to have a ton of Del Monte and all that. You don't see it anymore. You see Great Value. What kind of salts are the Chinese putting into Great Value? And why are they taking all of our Del Monte? Well, the answer is simple, and the answer is because salts are where you put poison. And then when I see these graphenes and how they respond to 5G, oh my God. So watch what you eat. Notice where it comes from. And again, notice there's no commercials here. If I tell you to do anything, it's to grow your own food. Okay? Have cattle if you can. Have chickens if you can. Get yourself a water distiller if you can so that you can distill your water at home. We could be poisoned through our water system. There is so much fentanyl in this country, America. And I've heard of Chinese people talk about how they were going to poison the water system from their homes and reverse flow it into the cities. And as you and I know, I've exposed it. The government and the FBI, they're all a bunch of liars. For $275, you can make a kilo of fentanyl, which kills 500,000 Americans. So for $195,000, that's it. China has our entire population killed, and they've done that about 50 times over. And that's just one of the war fronts we're fighting. Fentanyl, drugs, the border, okay? Chinese war weapons in the sky, clone sats, microwave radiations. What I'm trying to tell you is this is not bullets and machine guns at our door anymore. Okay, they don't have the balls to take us on like that. They're a bunch of, kitty cats. So the way in which they want to fight America is through satellites in space, hitting us with microwave radiation. They want to hit us through diseases and famine. We've opened up our borders because, guess what? Our census would be low. That's how serious this is. Today is 12/31/2023, or 123/123. What's your New Year's resolution going to be? Can I ask that you're just going to get your fat ass off the couch and join me, lock arms, and elect an orange man that's good? Or at least try to save our country? Under God, under country. The thing that's united all of Russia, all of the Muslim empire, all of the Christian empire, even into Russia, is that they can't stand Big Mike Obama's ABCDLMNOP, and neither can we. I'm not going to have this vicious minority be the reason for the destruction of the United States of America. We could handle the gay culture since Queen. But when you went after our children, you went too far. And this whole entire thing that's attacking our children needs to be dismantled from the top to the bottom, from the stem to the stern. You don't mess with our kids, and I'm talking on behalf of all Christians, all Muslims, all Hindus. Do not mess with a parent's child. And that's where they've taken it. So they've divided us on every front they can. Now, I'm going to tell you something about this war that we're fighting over there in Israel, and that's this. Hamas said, look, we've only used 30% of our arsenal and you're drained. Okay, they're only sugar daddy in Israel. His name's Jack Wagon Joe, but he's feeding both sides. Did you know we're looking at giving another $16 billion to Russia? Another, not just the $17 billion to, what do you mean, Chris? How could we be actually giving money to people that we're fighting on proxy wars like the Ukraine? It's that retarded, y'all. We really are doing it. We need to stop what we're doing. We need to stop Congress. We need to put someone in there like Trump He needs to get radical people in there like me to prosecute all these people, and then we need to disseminate our government. We need to fire everybody in the EPA, the DEA. All the alphabet soups need to be taken down because that is our enemy. They are from within. We have a FEMA, but look at how sorry they were at rebuilding Hawaii. Look at how sorry they were at rebuilding Louisiana and Florida. It's not like we don't have hurricanes every single year. I am tired of these ridiculous, old, entitled idiots. Even if I look at this crap behind me, I could give a rat's ass about their war. It's called racism. And if the Jews over there would just start making love to thy neighbor, in 15 to 20 years, okay, your 2,600-year-old war will be over. It's that simple. Why do you think Moses wandered in the desert for 40 years? 40 is the number for sorrow. It rained for 40 days, 40 nights. Jesus was tempted for 40 days by the devil. Moses wandered for 40 years, never saw the promised land. He asked God, save me from the Pharaoh. Save me from the Pharaoh thinking he's God. And as soon as he crossed the Red Sea, the area of conflict today, he said, you know what, all you guys, you owe me 10% because I talked to God. He recreated the same nonsense he was trying to leave. Now, the reason why I bring that up is don't come to our country with Islam and all this crap behind me thinking that we want it here. If that's the life you want, please live it over there. We don't believe in that stuff here. We believe in God, but we don't want our women to where they can't have bank accounts. Where they, we've taken so long to separate church versus state. And so the problem with Islam is that it has not evolved with society in general. What do I mean by that? Well, even Christianity used to have a king and a queen. Remember, look at England. There was the king and he represented the church, and then there was the state. Okay, and they evolved past the separation of church and state. Okay? Christianity helps you do that. That's why it's the finished faith. But in Islam, you have to have that religious leader, and he's a tyrant, and he tells you what to do. Now, why do I call that a finished faith? Because in every other culture like Islam, you're praying to God, saying, God, do you understand me 5 times a day? And only in Christianity does God say, do I understand you? I gave you my only begotten Son so that you can be saved. What don't you understand? My name is